Welcome to Sew Very Easy. My name is Laura, and today I would like to introduce you to a thread that is 100% made from recycled materials. The thread is from the Mettler company, and it's called SERACYCLE. Cycle as in recycle. The thread and those thread spools are made from 100% recycled materials, and the material is these PET bottles. When I first heard about this thread, I thought, how can they make these plastic hard bottles into a soft thread? Well, they have. And the thread is very soft, just like any thread would be. It feels like normal thread. It looks like normal thread. There's no little bumps at all. It's completely smooth. And it sews like a dream. There's 36 colors. They use only the clear bottles, and that way the dyes that they put in to make the thread are true to color. And because this is a 50-weight thread, we can use it for any sewing project at all. It can be used in cotton, synthetics, blended fiber, linens, silk, just about any fabric that we can think of. This thread is colorfast, iron-proof, does not shrink. You can also put it in your overlock and sergers. Even that spool is recycled material. I did receive one of these spools about a year ago. I used the whole spool up, I never had a problem, and I sewed all sorts of things, quilts all the way to clothing. My favorite needle to use with this was the 70 or the 80, and it was just a universal needle. If we look at the threads, you'll notice that they're not shiny. A lot of polyester threads do have a little bit of a shine to them. And if you can see, it doesn't really have any shine at all. It has a beautiful, silky, flat finish. And the threads are available in these small 220-yard threads. And the way you can tell this thread is the SERACYCLE is it does have a gray spool on it. Now, to have a little bit of fun with this project, I've decided to make a very simple project, and it's going to be a recycled project. I do have this cute little t-shirt that my grandson has grown out of. So I'm going to recycle the t-shirt into a pillow using recycled thread. I will be using the thread on the top and the bobbin, and I'm going to be using the 70-10 universal needle. So to make this project, the first thing that we really need to do is make sure that the t-shirt is washed. If it's been worn, it's been stretched out of shape, so it's not going to be able to maintain a nice shape after we cut it. I'm not worried about those stains. I just need it to be washed so it goes back to the original size. And turn it right side out. When you try to lie them flat, you're going to find that those are not going to lay flat. The seams are not going to lay flat. So just kind of work it so it's as flat as it can be. From here, I want to put on a fusible interfacing. Now, this is not mandatory, but I find it gives it a better result. Number one, the shirt has been worn, so there's going to be some weak spots in it, even perhaps some holes. So the interfacing is going to help stabilize and firm up that fabric. Another reason I like to use an interfacing is when the pillow is made and stuffed, you're not going to see the stuffing as much. So it's kind of putting a layer around it. So you can see already where that lightweight interfacing is going to have a nice finish. I'll fuse one side and I'll show you the difference between the two, and then you can decide if you want to add interfacing. So I'm just going to cut it bigger than what I need. So I'm going to take my interfacing and cut it just a little bit bigger than my final size. I'm going to fuse it onto the back of each of these pieces, but I'll just do the one so you can see the difference. So here's the piece that has the fusible interfacing on it, and you can see it has a better look. You don't see my hand underneath. It has a crisper look, and it's made it look a lot newer. And there's the one without the interfacing. So I'm going to interface both sides and trim them down to that 9.5 inches. I can now place right sides together. I'm going to leave a little opening on the side. So I'm going to start stitching and go all the way around and end, leaving enough of a space that you're going to be able to get your hand in and the batting in. So here's that little opening that I've left on the sides. What I have done is I've started off of the fabric, I've stitched on, and I've backstitched here, turned and went all the way around, coming to this edge, and backstitched in that seam allowance. This makes it a little bit easier to turn and keep those seam allowances straight. And it also helps the pressure when I am stuffing or turning this right side out. Now that it's all trimmed, I'm going to be able to turn it right side out. And there's that opening. And you can see where by stitching coming off of the seam allowance, it's already trying to force that seam inside. It doesn't want to come outside. It already wants to go inside. So before I do any stuffing, I'm going to straighten this up and press it. And press that so that seam is inside. And now that it's pressed, you can really see how those seam allowances want to stay inside going in that direction. And that's because we stitched off of that seam allowance. So let's get her filled. And I'm going to use that same thread to stitch it closed. And to stitch it closed, I'm just going to do a very basic whip stitch. And that's what that whip stitch will look like when it's finished. And my recycled pillow is now done. So I'm using recycled thread, and I've used a recycled t-shirt. Just a fun project to keep those that love that t-shirt happy for a little while longer. Thank you for joining me today on So Very Easy. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, and I do have a newsletter, all under So Very Easy. Thanks again for joining me. Bye for now.